So tonight, we're going to allow a breakthrough. So many times we try to force something to happen. Try to imagine something like, oh, I should do X, and then I imagine it, and I'm constructing it, and all that's based off of my mind. And just allowing it to happen without forcing or thinking of how it should be. Just allowing. We don't always understand how to allow. We're so used to doing and so used to trying to control. And not control in that way. Sometimes we think, oh, they're so controlling. We're all controlling. We all try to control. And it can be in such the smallest manner. And when we begin to let go of that control and allow, we can feel the relaxation in our bodies. Not right at first, of course, we're still in that mode, but as we allow, we just open right up. That's allowing our being to express. Allowing not our mind, but our being to relax our bodies and our minds as we allow. And that control, like I said, it's not always a harsh thing. And I was driving my truck the other day, and I was thinking about what a pleasure it is to love, to allow the love that you are to just come through. And so I began to look outside my windows as I was driving and think, wow, I'm going to look for something to love. I'm going to look for a certain thing, and maybe I'll see two people, or maybe blah, blah, blah. It was just, an animal, special nature moment. My mind was just working it. And it was trying to control. Even though that didn't seem that controlling, I was looking to do something nice. And then, as I was doing that, I realized in that moment I was not yet allowing the love to flow through me. And I had just remembered what a pleasure it is to do that. And so then I began to, like I said, look for something, certain something. And then I had the realization, what if I loved for no reason at all? No certain thing outside of me. Loving feels so wonderful. Why am I not always allowing myself to be aware of that space that is continuous? So I decided, again, my little control, I decided, see, it's not always bad. Then I allowed myself to express love to everything, to anything, to myself first, and then to everything around me. And that's how we love, with no reason, no outcome, just love. And I understood how I was being me-centered for a bit by looking for something external to me to happen, for me to love, or to love that. And instead I can be happy any moment. But happy is too small an emotion, because we go through so many emotions that are love. So I allowed myself to love in that moment, and it made me feel happy. Because it's the love, it's not the happy. The happy can ride on love, but so can any other emotion. So to love with no reason, to love with no expectation, to express the love that you are continuously to anything around you, regardless of whatever it is doing. Whether I would take the time to allow my mind to judge or not. Whatever that person is dressed like, or acts like, or thinks like, I'm just loving. And love, that vibration that you are in that state of your natural loving being, exudes and vibrates and penetrates and changes and touches. So what a gift to yourself and to others. And to love with no reason. Doesn't that take off all the qualifiers? To love yourself with no reason allows you to fully love everything that you are. The parts of you that you like, or the parts of you that you don't like. Doesn't matter, does it? So I love you. I love me for no reason at all. And then we can drop our need to perform. And so can that other person that you're loving. They can drop that need to perform for you, how they think you interpret them. And what a beautiful pleasure to give yourself. To allow yourself to be that love energy. See, as you allow yourself to be that love energy, you're healing you. Because in those moments, you're absolutely worthy without question. In fact, worthiness isn't even a concept in the face of love. Because to love and let it flow through you, you are loving you at the same time. All of you. And you don't have to perform for you. And you don't have to dislike you. You can just love you. And yes, you can do that. Just allowing. And that word just, such a small word, but just allow. How does someone allow? Breathe. As your mind says this, that, or the other, go, okay, and then breathe. And focus on that breath. And just breathe in that love. And let it go into your heart and mingle there. And then exhale that love that you are. And let that be the focus. Loving you. Allowing that. And it all happens naturally when we take our focus off of our thoughts. Our thoughts are just that movie we get caught up in sometimes. And that's okay. And then we can just breathe into that space again. A friend asked me the other day, what does love feel like? You know, like what's the feeling of it? And my response made me laugh. It was like, when she asked, what's the feeling of it? What does it feel like? And I said, what feeling isn't it? It's all love. Now how can that be the case? How can sadness, anger, joy, laughter, whatever it is, whatever feeling, how can that be love? And love is like a continuum. If you wanted to imagine like a beam of light coming through your back and out your chest, just straight like a beam in front of you. And that's the energy of love. And that's that constant root of all feeling that it is. And off of this beam can be like ribbons coming off of it. And each of those ribbons is a different feeling. You have the beam and the ribbons coming off. And each of those feelings rooted in love, something happens and shifts it a little bit, and it becomes a different feeling. And when we move into one of those feelings, we move into that space and we get into that ribbon, and we're maybe following the length of the ribbon. The longer and the further we get down the ribbon, the more intense we are into that feeling, and the more real we believe it is. And the more that we stayed rooted in the love that we are, we can recognize, that's where it shoots off from love. That's what happened to it, that it shifted to that. And we can come back down that ribbon, back into the base, the continuum that love is. And we can go up and down it. And once we're aware that all feelings are rooted in love, and that we can hold that continuum, that space of love, we can hold that, then we can play with each and every one of those ribbons. We can allow ourselves to feel sad when we need to feel sad, and yet never be so bought into it that we don't sense that continuum of love underneath it. And what a value it is, each and every one of those ribbons, for us to come from that continuum and yet taste that different flavor of life, a different experience, how it affects us, how it affects others. How does it interact with love? And how can I take that ribbon home back to love? So that it recognizes its own root in love. Not to say that there's not value in experiencing it, and not to say that we don't want to try these other flavors, but to be so much closer to where that feeling ties back into the root, into the continuum, so that we can begin to easily express each one of them and also return to the root of love. Because then we can play. We can also be at ease. We can express whatever emotion it is we need to express, but from a place of confidence in that continuum that is love. So think about a feeling that you've felt before, but expressing it with the confidence that it is based in love. Expressing it with sitting in that ribbon, but also being connected to that continuum of love energy. It so ripens that feeling, and it so opens it. It moves the stuck places within that feeling and just allows the energy that needs to flow through that expression. And play with them. Become the ribbon of joy. Become the ribbon of playfulness. Become the ribbon of sadness and anger and frustration. Become it with such clarity and such confidence that you express it exquisitely and then let it go and return to love. Because the breakthrough is recognizing that you are never not in a space of love. All feelings are rooted in that continuum. So you're never without love. And our situations can be horrific at times that we are in. But that energy of love that you are is loving and caring for you in any of those situations. It is holding you, confident in you, confident in your ability to touch any ribbon of feeling you need to as you move through it. And not letting yourself get pinched off in any one ribbon. So we don't have to be stuck in a feeling of whatever we've been through, because we can allow ourselves to return to that continuum of love. Then we don't have to be afraid of any feeling. And love without reason. Just loving. And loving immediately in front of you and to your sides and behind you. Just loving. Simply loving. And you don't have to worry about getting it perfectly right. Just know that that's what you're choosing to do in this moment, and breathe in and exhale the love that you are. Breathing in and exhaling out the love that you are. And never worry if you're in a particular feeling or another, because it might be just in that moment you needed to express a particular ribbon. As long as you can return to that space of love that you are. And that love is confident in you. That love senses, trusts, and stabilizes in you. And allow it to fill your entire body. You're so powerful that the universe is absolutely confident in you and the value of the love that you express. And everyone you're looking at has that same depth. And if they're not expressing it, they're just caught up in a ribbon. And let your own being be that continuum of confidence, of that connection to that ribbon to love. And you hold that space for yourself or them whenever you need to. The breakthrough is that this can be a continuous state. And it's fine if that continuum functions just like that love beam itself. We're on that, we're feeling it, we're sitting in that space of love, and then whoop, we go up a ribbon. That's okay, because that ribbon is rooted in love and can come right back on down and join that continuum. And the interesting thing is that continuum allows for that to happen. It comes up and then you go back into it and it comes up, so it's never out of sync. You don't go backwards just because you went into a feeling. It's how you allow yourself to rejoin the natural being that you are, that love that you are, that keeps that continuum moving forward. So even if we feel like we're going backwards, we're not, because you're building that awareness that all feelings are rooted in love. And allowing that love to, that root of love to move through you brings such peace and joy and love to your life.